Hey, welcome back to Everyday Economics, the podcast that helps you learn about the economic world happening around you every day. I'm your host, Chris Krug, CEO of the 501c3 nonprofit, nonpartisan Franklin News Foundation. Everyday Economics, a production of America's Talking Network. You can subscribe to all of our podcasts at americastalking.com. To support Everyday Economics, please make a tax-deductible charitable contribution by clicking the link in the show description. We are recording this episode on Friday, October 11th. We're heading into the Columbus Day holiday weekend. I found that out this morning because my kid had not gone to school and it was okay this time. That's kind of cool.
Let me tell you something. I am so glad that you said that because, look, I don't remember the last time like anyone even talked about Columbus Day. Like it used to be a thing.
It is. It still is.
You know.
By the way, joining me is Dr. Orphe Divounguy, PhD economist, who looks just like spectacular in his royal blue today. It looks like you could be playing soccer in the English Premier League or something like that.
Hold on again. Hold on. For which team? For which team? Let's test his knowledge.
I don't know. Maybe that colored. Well, I don't. You know, that league. It's baffling to me. I mean, they just wear colors that aren't their colors because they want to or can. I mean, it's not as locked in. I mean, that would be like that color blue. Would that be maybe Chelsea?
Chelsea blue. Yes. Stamford Bridge. Yes.
All right.
Yes.
All right. The young man who spent a little bit of time in England during his youth. Hey, the Everyday Economics column runs every Monday at thecentersquare.com. It's one of my favorite things. This show is going to focus on the week ahead. We're, like I said, we're taping it on Friday, but you know, you have enough foresight to see all the way over the weekend.
Look, every time we do this, people always ask me like, how the heck did you get this right? And I'm like, well, look, to be honest, I don't have a crystal ball or anything. You just have to pay attention to what's going on, with households. Look, the economy is what? It's just people, right? It's right. Households, it's businesses, it's government. And so you ask yourself, okay, how are households doing? How are households doing?
Yeah.
And then you look at the budget constraint, right? So the budget constraint, what do we mean by that? The right-hand side of the budget constraint is your income, right? And then the left-hand side of your budget constraint, so incomes, when I say incomes, it's like taxes too, like, incomes after taxes. It's also incomes from capital gains, right? Incomes from your investments. And then the left-hand side of the budget constraint is what you spend, right? And hopefully you're balancing your budget. Hopefully you're not spending more than you earn. And if you're spending more than you earn, well, hopefully there's some borrowing taking place on the right-hand side of the budget constraint to make it equal every month. Mm-hmm. And of course, if you're spending more than you earn, you're also paying back interest, right? So that's really the budget constraint. So I look at that and I think, okay, what's going on the right-hand side of the budget constraint? The first thing that's going on the right-hand side of the budget constraint is a strong labor market. We got a jobs report that said, 254,000 jobs are created.
Yep.
At the same time, we know people are not working more hours, right? Right. We see wage growth strong. Wage growth remains robust at 4% higher than last year.
Yeah.
It's ticking up a bit more from August. Then we have the stock market gains. I mean, the stock market keeps tearing up new records, right?
It's been on a roll.
Bam.
It's been on a roll.
Right. And so you look at that, well, that raises potential capital gains for somebody who's been investing a long time, right? And so higher wage growth, higher capital gains on the right-hand side of the budget constraint means higher incomes.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the left-hand side of the budget constraint, you got all your spending, right? And you're probably paying some debt because, auto loan delinquency rates are on the rise, especially for younger households.
Oh, yeah.
So you're paying some stuff off. Yeah. At the same time, prices...
hopefully people are doing that.
Yeah, hopefully. And at the same time, price growth has eased, right? We went from higher prices, which were really squeezing us, to higher prices, but the growth in prices has been slower than wages. So real incomes have actually gone up, right? So because remember, we just had the latest inflation report that showed year over year headline inflation is down to 2.4%. So if you got wages increases at 4% a year, and then you have price growth at 2.4%, right, from a year
Mm-hmm.
ago, you actually made a little bit of money in so to speak, right? You're better off than you were a year ago.
Just
And
slightly.
so, yeah, just
Just.
slightly, just slightly,
But let me
right?
ask you this. The jobless numbers came in, and that number was pretty big. So I mean, that's the highest jobless claims number since last August.
Oh yeah,
At
that's true. Two, two, two.
258,000
That's
people
correct.
hit the unemployment insurance line.
Yes, yes, yes.
Well, what do you make of
It's
that?
it is an uptick. But here's the thing: that data is very, very noisy. Okay, and so what I
Okay.
would always tell people is check the 4-week moving average
All right.
of initial claims and continuing claims, right?
Okay.
And the 4-week moving average is 231,000. So it's up. It's gone up a little bit, but is it up enough to worry me? No, not yet.
Okay.
At the same time, the Fed is cutting interest rates and financial conditions are easing. What does that mean? It means interest rates are easing. Yes, we've seen that. Well, I mean, they've gone up a little bit last week. So, okay, you might be like, well, they've gone up a little bit last week. They've gone up a little bit since the Fed actually cut interest rates, which is really interesting. The long-term interest rates have gone up. Short-term interest rates have come down.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so I say, look at that, and then look at stock gains. Right? Our businesses struggling to borrow money? Are they struggling to raise equity? And if you put two and two together and you realize that no, not yet, things are okay. And so they're improving. They were getting kind of worrisome a little bit, but
Mm-hmm.
they're improving. And so no, I am not in the camp of doom and gloom quite just yet.
Okay. Well, I mean,
and
it's an interesting number
it
because
is, it
because
is.
it's as high as it is, and I
But
mean,
you look at
it's
this inflation picture we just got, and
uh-huh.
what do you see? You look at car prices. Car prices had been falling, right? So like you're thinking, okay, people are struggling. They're not really buying any cars anymore. They're not buying they're not doing leisure and travel and all that stuff. And then you look, car prices actually rebounded last month. Like we got
Mm-hmm.
in September, we got a bit of a rebound
Mm-hmm.
in the things that that when you look at, you're like thinking, okay, maybe households are really starting to struggle a little bit, right? But we actually got a rebound, and so consumer spending driving this economy. They go out and buy a bunch of stuff. Businesses do well, their profits increase, earnings go up, stock market soars. That doesn't look like the type of economy that's going under. At the same time, remember I said at the beginning, we have households, businesses, and we also have government. At the same time, government's still spending like crazy.
Yeah.
Okay? Government is still spending like crazy. And so that supports aggregate demand.
Mm-hmm.
And so you put all those things together and you still have a pretty strong economy. In fact, why don't we look it up right now? What does GDP now, Atlanta Fed GDP now, tell us? Where are we? Where are we? I usually kind of look at that number. Some people laugh at that number and say, oh, it's always wrong. Or it's always wrong. It's not always wrong, guys. I mean, look, the Atlanta Fed GDP now is at 3.2% for the third quarter, unchanged from a week ago.
Okay.
It's higher than it was 2-3 weeks ago when it was in the 2 range, or a month ago. So we got a pretty strong outlook on GDP right now, even higher than in Q2 where we're at 3%. I mean, this is looking good. Why is everything so strong? Well, look, there's that spending, but on top of that, there's productivity, there's strong employment growth, strong productivity growth. The fact that productivity is increasing is a positive for business profits, right? And and we're producing more widgets, and we're able to spend without seeing inflation increase a whole lot. In fact, inflation's easing. So I think this is great, man. This is what we talk about, when we talk about America being just exceptional. This is it. Now, of course, there's some fears, right? Fears of coming from all these hurricanes are not good for economic growth, by the way.
Right. Yeah, and
Right.
we're gonna do a set aside episode on the economic impact of hurricanes
Yeah,
in this coming week.
these shocks, right? Yeah, look, there's wars abroad. Okay, I think that's important to mention. There's wars abroad. There's the Middle East conflicts could push energy prices up again,
Yep.
could push oil prices up, price of commodities, food, things like that, right? Could come up as a result of this prolonged things that we're seeing abroad, right? And
Yep.
then I wouldn't say come up. I mean, they've been around for a while, but like could just prevent the further disinflation is the way to put it.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got these hurricanes, and these hurricanes would have a similar impact right here at home, and that's not good, and that's what we got to worry about is these shocks. Now, all right, what else do we got going on next
Well,
week?
how about so I'm looking at the calendar, right? And I
Yeah.
mean, we're going to get US. It's kind of a slow start to the week, but Thursday we'll get
retail sale.
We'll get jobless claims. I mean,
Yes, of course.
on Thursday,
retail sales.
we'll get retail sales,
right?
And then Friday, it's a pretty big housing day. We're going to get housing starts and building permits. And
Yes.
I know, I based on that big blue Z that's over your head, I think.
Oh, I'm wearing the blue, bro. I'm wearing the blue.
I know. That might be of interest to you. Well, I appreciate your thoughts as always. For Orphe, Divounguy, this has been Chris Krug. Subscribe to Everyday Economics and dozens of other high-quality podcasts at America's Talking About.